15. What is going on, Black Baseball Mixtape family? First things first, my name is not Cheats. It's Football Boys here. I'm in the catbird seat for this October 15th edition of the Black Baseball Mixtape playoff discussion. We're going to have ourselves a good time because things are happening all over the game. We got the ALCS, the NLCS, and the Golden Gloves nominees or finalists have been announced. We're going to break that down on this episode. Before we bring in the crew, as always, we got to give a shout out to our sponsors, those that help us to make this show and platform a reality. We're talking about Herencia 21, talking about the Players Alliance, talking about Stilo Sports, Number Game Scorecards, and Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds. And look, just because you and I are close, we're like friends, you could use a promo code Black Baseball Mixtape or BBM at Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds or Number Game Scorecards to get yourself a little of that discount. You know what I'm saying? Use a promo code. It helps support the show, helps support the platform, and more. But enough of my rambling. Let's bring on the crew. Let's bring them all in because we have ourselves an all-star team here today. Introducing first, we have all about April herself. What's going on, April? You good?
Yeah. Hey, y'all.
Hey, and can I say the Justice _ imported himself? Give it up for Troy. What's going on, sir?
What up, dog? What's going on?
Man, I'm trying to be like you, man. That's why I could just chill with it. You know what I'm saying? How you living?
Come to Detroit, baby.
Man, that's on my list. So I'm trying to go to all 30, and Detroit is one of my last 6. I haven't gone to the Ohios. I haven't gone to Detroit, Toronto, St. Louis, and Pittsburgh. That's the 2025. It's going to be a thing.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, but as we record this right now, the ALCS is going on. Game 2, Yankees, Guardians. Troy, I'm gonna start with you, man. Does it hurt that the Detroit Tigers aren't in the ALCS? Are you hate watching the series right now, brother? What's up?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. I chose to talk to you guys instead of watch that game. Well, before I hop on, I hear my brother in the other room yelling. I'm like, what happened? He's like, the Indians dropped the ball. And I'm like, you mean the Guardians dropped the ball? It's like, the Guardians dropped the ball. And I was like, oh, man, I wish they dropped the ball when they played us. But, the Indians are the Guardians are a good team. And I just wish we didn't go out the way we went out, man. School's our guy. But, can't be perfect forever. So, But
honest question. Is it hard to say Guardians? Like for some people it is, some people it isn't. What's it like with your fam?
It depends on the day. So I'm a big Major League movie guy, and I got a Wild Thing jersey, and I was gonna be him for Halloween. So that jersey says Indians on it. So that's been in my head for like the last couple of weeks. But usually we just say Cleveland.
Yeah.
So it kind of avoids it either way by just saying Cleveland, but it's been better this year than the last couple of years because it was still fresh.
Yeah,
the change.
I respect that. And April, I know your dad's having a good time, right?
Yes,
Yankees
he
are.
is.
Yeah, what's up with you?
He's definitely blown me up quite a bit, being that they've made it here, and not just him. My principal is a huge Yankees fan too. So I have like both of them in my ear. Like I got called down for something today, and then he's like, "We about to win, right?" I'm like, "No, we're not doing this right now." Right? But I'm rooting for the Yankees. Y'all know this. I want a Yankees Dodgers World Series. Mm-hmm. But like my principal mentioned, there are a lot of people that want the Subway Series. And I know we're probably going to get into that a little bit later, but I think it's good that we're seeing the 2 best teams that have come out of the AL compete right now. And the last night's game was actually a pretty good one. So I enjoyed it.
Now let's get into it right now. So I was actually watching after game 1. We'll get into how the game was won, but the question remains about the Yankees this season, right? I'm not trying to track from New York because I think a Subway Series would be cool, but there has been talk about the path that the Yankees organization has. They didn't have to go through the Orioles. They didn't have to go through the Astros. They didn't have to go against the defending champion Texas Rangers, even though they had a fell off this year. Let me ask you this, April. Is this an easy path for the Bronx to the World Series?
It is, and I watched that path on what was it, FS1? Derek Jeter. I think he was the only one who readily admitted that it was an easy path. And when you see it, the competition of it, I was just kind of like, dang, if they really want the World Series, it's clearly in the palm of their hands. And I think that they are in an excellent position to be able to win. Like, I look at their team, I look at how well Stanton is playing right now, because he is really holding them down offensively. They can do this if they want it. And I'm actually excited about it, because I was like talking to one of my coworkers, and even he is excited about it. I look at how 20%, there's been a 20% increase in people actually watching postseason baseball. So it's not just us thinking that they're going to make it. People are watching, hoping that they make it to the next round too.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the grill there, Tori, but like people have said too at Cleveland, man. I mean, talk about the drought. Everything has been about the drought. Cleveland 2 years ago looked like they were primed to have one more good run. Didn't happen last year. They're down one game. They're down right now in game 2. It's actually going on as we speak. Is there a path for Cleveland to somehow beat the Bronx there, you think?
I don't know. That's a tall order. It's
man.
I mean, I'm not gonna count them out. They have a solid squad. They wouldn't be in the Bronx right now if they didn't take care of business as well. They took care of a hot Tigers team in 5, but like you said, the Yankees are hot, staying hot. It's tough to win in the Bronx. I'm pretty sure it's sold out, and it's a whole bunch of New Yorkers screaming their heads off right now. So it's probably not a comfortable place to play such an important game.
Just the Quan hate is real. I want a Mets Guardians World Series to troll everybody. Just to have the worst combination possible. Yeah, take that. Why is that the case? No, I don't really want that. So let's talk about let's talk about the Yankees lineup, right? So in the summertime, there was kind of people dragging the team saying, look, you only got 2 hitters. You only got Soto, you only got Judge. It's a short lineup there, short lineup that. But they've proven, especially with Stanton going into playoff mode, that they got some length. I mean, April, is it something that's going to be sustainable, or are we thinking about the bottom going to fall out, or this is just a next gear for a team that just finds new ways to win?
I think that this is a next gear for them. Like, one thing about Stanton, like, he tends to show up in these moments. There are players who thrive under the pressure and under the lights, and he is one of them. And someone reminded me today, when Judge started off somewhat in a slump, Stanton was the one that was batting well and was, upholding the team. So, and you don't just see it from him. Gleyber Torres is batting well. Volpe had a great night. So even though Judge may not be on par with what we normally know Judge as, it's the role players that are actually doing their jobs and also holding up the team. And yes, I definitely think that this moment is just not too great for them. They realize what it is, and they are working hard to be able to achieve it.
So in a couple episodes ago, Cheese had asked a question about who has more pressure, right? Whether it's Shohei Ohtani, whether it's Aaron Judge. And we pretty much believe that Judge has more pressure with that Yankee team being the captain to really go forth. Now, imagine, just for a second, because I don't want it to happen, that the Yankees become world champions this season. But let's say Judge does not become a factor in the World Series to the level we expect him to. Would that be considered an asterisk, Troy? Or is that just something where it's like, no, he's been good for so long. It doesn't matter how he got the ring. The team got the ring. Don't worry about it.
Well, see, baseball's unlike other sports. If LeBron had a bad game, bad playoff series, a team wouldn't be close to even winning the series, right? But this Yankees team is a team, and he still has to lead that team. So if he didn't perform how he performed this season, they might not even be here right now. So to write him off because of a bad playoff series, it's like either you're just a hater, or you don't really know what it's like to be a baseball player.
Right. Just a hater. So you agree, April?
I agree. And I do believe that, I believe that it is extremely important for him to win, but I don't think that I'm going to completely discount what he's done all season simply because of this moment. I do think that he's going to get it started. I have all faith in him. And I also think that there are parts of Judge that we don't get to see. We don't see his leadership abilities, but we see it. This is where you're seeing it play out with the other role players on the team as well. So, and yes, I agree with Troy. Like, who's crazy enough to say, oh, he didn't do this? So no, like, well, you know what? You're right. There are some people out
there's
there.
People out there.
Haters out there.
I'm the voice of the voiceless. I'm just asking questions.
Which Mr. All Rise. I just feel like he's going to rise to the occasion.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not a hater. I try not to be. No, I hate about most things, but I try not to be. to me, and it always was a question for me. I mean, granted, I'm a Mets fan, so I'm on the other side, right? But I thought Judge at this point in his career would be a bigger star. So you're probably like, what do you mean bigger? He's already one of the biggest ones in the league. But like, I thought for sure he'd be the one, like, reading awards and being drawn the cartoons besides Paw Patrol. But to me, it really hit the same way. So I was wondering whether or not it matters if he needs a ring or something like that. But I don't know. I'm just asking questions,
I feel like it's a little bit different. I feel like people are comparing him to Jeter. And Jeter, personality-wise, is not the same person that Judge is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the part that they're really missing. And it's like, that's cool, but I feel like Jeter's more just has a little more charisma in the personality sense. Like, he's on this TV show, he's on that TV show. You really get to see, he really show his personality. Judge is more of a, I come in, clock in, work, and I go home. And I can't really blame him for that because, the Yankees as an organization, they do things the Yankee way.
Mm-hmm.
No facial hair, no numbers on the jerseys. They have their rules. So I feel like that's not a place that's encouraging you to go, go show your personality in the press conference. Go do all this other stuff, because it's cool when you're winning, you're doing that stuff, but like you said, the haters out there, he's not doing like Ohtani numbers. He shouldn't be out there doing that stuff, and I kind of feel that pressure for him. So he has to get it done, and him doing it quietly, I can't disagree with that.
See, now you're just raising the question. Is the Yankee way of baseball still sustainable? Now, I understand that's the brand. You want to be able to, the Yankee way, the pinstripes, no need a mascot, the same two uniforms. But as the game gets more colorful, as people see more of the personality, will it be seen as an outlier if someone decides to put their head down and just go to work? April, what do you think?
I mean, they won 27 championships.
Oh, Lord, not with this again. Half of them belong in a museum. The other half, black people couldn't play baseball. Y'all saying 27.
I don't think that it's something that is now. Would I prefer for them to do away with some things like the facial hair? I think it's a little bit overdone. But I love the tradition of the uniforms. I think that that's something that makes them special in the league. So is that something that is going to shift the narrative for them? No, like there are thousands of people who still root for them. And these are also things that people know them by. I don't think that they need to change their identity in order to be able to attract new people. The name speaks for itself. You know exactly who you're cheering for whenever those pinstripes walk out there.
I mean, you're right, but they said the same thing about Oldsmobile. But let me ask y'all a question.
But how many people ain't, like I said, 27, that's a big number.
Half of those don't count. Like, you couldn't have black people on the teams back then. Now they bring us 2009. Half of them belong in the museum. They're artifacts. All right, so let's talk about standout stars, though, because one of the crazy stories about the Yankees series is the emergence of Luke Weaver, right? Someone was converted to be someone to really be the final dagger. There's now been comparisons to Mariano Rivera. What? April, explain yourself. Why are they doing this to this kid?
Look, let me tell you something. They're doing too much. I need them to roll it back a little bit. Like, I get that people are prisoners of the moment, and he is doing a fantastic job. Let's not completely discount what he's doing. But to go all the way to the legend, That's a little bit too much. All right. Like you gotta at least win something first. That man has won like countless things. He's a household name. And I think that whenever we start comparing people like that, it's hard for you to appreciate what they're doing in the moment. Like I love seeing the fact that he's coming out there, he's pitching well, he's closing well, he's reliable, because we know that these games, a ninth inning still has you on pins and needles. You don't know if the game is over yet. So for him to be able to sustain that is wonderful. But to go all the way to calling him a Hall of Famer like that, I ain't going there yet. But he's doing a great job. Great job.
Sure, talk to me. Clase, Weaver, these pitchers have been on these crazy runs. A lot of times when you're playing the game of baseball, it's kind of like a momentum thing. You're locked in, you're hitting another level. When does doubt start to seep in? Because you know a hot streak can't last forever, much like a cold streak. Does that kind of mess with your psyche a bit when you're feeling yourself, or is just ride the light as long as you can? Like what goes through your mind as an athlete when you're on another level like Luke Weaver is right now?
You just got to ride the wave. You get really superstitious. Like if I'm high, I'm doing the same thing. I'm wearing the same BGs. I'm eating the same thing before I go to the field. I want to keep everything the same as much as possible. So unless there's a reason for doubt, you're just riding that high. And then especially with playoff time, how electric the stadium is and how good it probably feels to play in front of that home crowd. I don't think doubt's creeping in his mind at all. He's ready for the challenge. He's ready to keep going, but he is not Mariano Rivera. I don't know where that came from.
All right. So right now, ERA, postseason ERA is at 0. Charlotte, let me ask you, does he maintain a 0 ERA through the CS?
I don't know. He might through Cleveland, but the real test, if they make it to the Dodgers, let's see how that 0 is when Freeman, Ohtani, and Mookie come up.
So you're saying he can go through Cleveland without allowing a run?
Yeah.
April, what say you?
No. I don't think that he's gonna do. I think that he's gonna get at least a couple runs in. And for this, I think it's more of me like looking at Cleveland, looking at that lineup. You got Ramirez and a couple of other guys who bat really well. I see him getting at least 1 or 2. Them getting at least 1 or 2 off of them. I ain't saying he ain't getting more than 3. I know that much.
All right.
So,
well,
take that.
You heard that Yankee fandom. Stop comparing him to Mariano Rivera's real quick.
But I also want to call out Troy. I heard whenever you said when he gets to Friedman, Shohei, and Mookie. So you calling a Yankees Dodgers World Series already?
People are, man.
That's what I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
The Subway Series sounds cool. I ain't hating on the Mets, but
you got time to do that later on. It's fine.
Will you be tuned back in if that happens? So will you turn your TV back on if Yankees not? Okay.
Oh, really? Oh, I see how it is. I ain't a Mets hater, but I'll put the TV on to watch. No, I'm kidding. Look, I think they asked most people, they polled them. Most people want Yankees Dodgers if they were asked.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, though. But you know what I'm saying? But that's what Cheech was saying. I think last year's World Series, and I'm not disrespecting the Rangers because they won. I'm not disrespecting the Diamondbacks because they went on that run. But Arizona versus Arlington was not something that's going to be marquee. I enjoyed the baseball, but it's not about baseball fans at that point, right? Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be the Super Bowl. It's supposed to be the entertainment thing. So give us the biggest names. Give us Shohei Ohtani. Give me Decoy's dad. Give me Aaron Judge. Give me Juan Soto in his right field, defensive miscues. Give me all that,
And it's also what even the casual fan is tuned in to everything that's happening. So those names that whether we realize it or not, it's gonna attract the fan. Like I know I was looking at even the payrolls. People were talking about the payrolls, and we can't deny, like when you pay people well, what happens? People gonna perform. And so we're seeing these people coming out, they're showing out, and here's where we are.
Man, that payroll number is so misleading, though, because 177 million are playing for Texas right now. Just dead Scherzer money, man. As it is right now, is the bottom of the second. It looks like 2-0 New York. They already have the one game in hand. Now it's time for predictions. April, I'm gonna start with you. Yankees win tonight. Do they win the series? But in how many games?
Yankees are definitely winning tonight. They are also definitely winning the series. I stand by me saying that. And I have them winning in 5 or 6 games. I'll be generous and say 6, but my heart is telling me 5.
Wow, you winning 2 games is generous, Troy. What say you? The Yankees win tonight, and if they win the series, in how many games?
I agree with her. If they win tonight, I'm going Yankees in 5.
Man, if any Cleveland fans are watching right now is the time to speak up for your team because I can't even disagree with them. I can't even no. I like Stephen Kwan, but he's on the island, man. Ramirez is cool, but I don't know. I was going to say maybe 6 games definitely, but the Yankees cannot be stopped, especially when you have figure out the bottom half of the lineup. Well, and we'll get to the other side of the NLCS in a minute. I think the Dodgers have that as well. Once you get that stuff flipped and you're just facing hitter after hitter after hitter, it's just hard to find holes in that lineup. And so the Yankees will get through. I still will give them an asterisk because they didn't face the Orioles. They didn't face the Astros. It ain't the same.
I have a question before we move on.
Yes, ma'am.
Do y'all think, what do y'all think about playoff seeding? Because baseball is weird. It's different in that the seeding is exactly the way it is when you start to when you finish. Do you think that it should change to the seeding should change like it does with NBA and NFL? Like if the 1 seed goes out, then the brackets kind of shift with that.
The playoff system in baseball has always been difficult just because of what it was. I remember the old school World Series from back in the day were like, oh, you're the pennant, World Series. And this is 12-team playoff and people complain all the time. I like the way it is right now. I'm not just saying that as a Mets fan because it seems like I'm just being whatever, but I think the idea of a postseason tournament would rely on the excitement of upsets. That's why we do March Madness. We want to see who's going to upset people. I like the run it is. I make fun of the Yankees, but they earned their bye. And whoever comes up to that mountain, whoever survives, in this case, it was Kansas City and then Cleveland, then you have to do battle. But I know I'm very progressive. I know a lot of old school fans are like, nah, change it. It's not fair. Troy, what say you?
I felt like it is the way it is because it gives you a reason to keep winning ball games. I see in other sports where it's like if you could just make it to the playoffs, then teams decide to turn it on. With baseball, you got to keep it on until you clinch, and even then, there's games that could make the difference between you being the 1 seed or the 2 seed or whatever that may be, whether it's in the wild card or between the divisional leaders. So it's not perfect, but I think it's the most fair that I think it could be.
That's a great point. I never thought about it from that perspective. I really, really like that. Because, some like NBA, I'm not even going to lie. It's no point even me turning on that first round.
It's not.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember for a long time, the NBA was like the gold standard. Like, this is a tournament, 8 teams on one side, 8 teams on the other. And then the playing games came in and it's kind of just made it a whole different thing. But that's just me personally, It's kind of a wild ride. But I like the playoff format now. I'm sure they're going to probably tweak it, probably change some of the seating or whatever. But this year was great. I mean, we had to play a last game to get one half because this was the one season where no team had 100 wins. Mm-hmm. The National League all was terrible in April and May. It all came down to one game. That was wild. You got Arizona rooting for New York because if they won, they get to go in. It was just a weird time. I like that kind of stuff, All right, so on the other side, the NLCS is on an off day as the Dodgers are in Queens. You saw them take their workout. The Mets are doing their workout a little earlier. Mets-Dodgers, 2 haymakers. Game 1, all Dodgers. Game 2, all New York. We're tied at 1 game apiece. Now, a lot of stuff to get into here, but the one thing I want to say before we get into the nitty-gritty of stuff, as it is right now, 2 games in, April, I'm going to start with you because you're a Dodger fan. Is this series something that you've been promised? Does it hit your expectations? Or is it like kind of Mrs. Mark? Or is it better than that?
I think that how can I say this? I think that I'm enjoying the ride of this, and this is not an insult because I ain't trying to shade football.
Everyone shades Mets. I don't say anything. I be sitting there chilling. And people are like, yo, Dodgers in 6. Like, yo, I didn't say nothing.
I do think Dodgers in 6, however, I think
right
that
show's over.
I am enjoying the ride of the series too, because I think a lot of people underestimate what the Mets have to bring. They are a team who not only can play good defense, which I saw last night, they also are going to hit the ball. And you just don't know when they are going to turn it on. Like, you walk one player to get to Vientos, and then I see like the flashback of him kind of being like, okay, you're gonna pitch to me, and then he hits that. You don't really know what you're getting from the Mets, and I think that that's what makes them really, really dangerous. So, and I've talked to you about the Mets all year. They're a team that has always concerned me, especially being that they've gotten hot at the right moment. But of course, I was gonna ride with my team.
Don't say hot at the right moment. They've been hot since June.
You're right. I'm not. Excuse me. They got hot as far as beating out their division opponents, which made that whole thing even more exciting. But you're right. They've been hot for a moment.
So I'm going to follow up with you on this one because we're talking about lineup length. I think anyone that has just a general grasp of the Dodgers lineup would say, oh man, Ohtani, Mookie, and Freeman. But I would say from my perspective, one of the unspoken heroes is Hernandez. Here's somebody who's on the other side of that lineup that lengthens that lineup, and you can't overlook him as well. And the Mets found out the hard way come game 1. So, Abel, let me ask you this. I know the Dodgers are perennially a high-level team. They made some changes, but is Teoscar one of the best signings that team made this season?
Yes. And I'm trying to figure out exactly why we haven't given him that extension already, because we do not win the last series without him. And I don't even want to say that he's such an underrated. He's so important to the team. First off, the energy that he brings. But the fact that he has been consistent and clutch all year. So, like, I watched many games, and that is what he has done. For me, whenever I see a player on base and I know he's coming up to bat, I'm like, I don't know what you're going to get, but this might be one of those situations where you thinking that you want to walk Shohei, you might want to walk him because he lives off those moments. And not to forget, like, he is the home run derby champion. So he's had a lot of things that has just gone his way. But I think for Teoscar Hernandez, it's great that he's having his glory moment because, he's played for Toronto, he's played for Seattle, but he's finally in a place where he can shine. And he's in the perfect spot in our lineup as well.
Troy, it looks like the Dodgers are on a date with destiny, right? So many years being dragged for recent efforts. Oh, you collapsed in the playoffs. The championship you won wasn't legitimate. Granted, they had that first round bye because they led the division, but they really had to beat down some of the more heated rivals to make themselves there. Question for you. I know you talked about the Yankees going to the World Series. The Dodgers you want there too. Is this the year for Los Angeles to get a quote-unquote real championship, whatever metric you think that is?
I think for the amount of money they spent, if they don't get there.
Dad energy.
It's gonna be a long off season for the Dodgers. They've done so much to climb the hill. Like they've done everything you can ask an owner to do to get their team to the World Series. They cut all the checks. They took out all the stops. So I feel like the pressure is definitely on them to get this one for that reason and for many others. They put this core together. I remember when Freeman left the Braves and went to the Dodgers, I'm like, oh, they're not messing around. Then they grabbed Ohtani. I'm like, okay, they're really not messing around. So Um, I think it's World Series or bust for the Dodgers, and they're playing like that because I remember last year when we were talking about them in the playoffs, they had that extra day, and the veterans didn't come to practice, and there was that whole mess there. And they ended up losing the next day, and everyone's like, "Why didn't nobody come to practice?" All of that stuff. They're trying to make up for that. So yeah, they got to climb the mountain, or it's gonna be a problem.
Let me ask you this though, and for you as a player, you've seen the injuries that we face. We just lost another bullpen pitcher with Alex Vesia. Gavin Stone is gone all 2025 from the shoulder injury. Being that we've lost so many people this year, do you think that gives us a little bit of grace, or are people like, that's what you paid them for, so go out there and do your job?
I think a lot of people overlook those role players because of like the fame, the money behind Mookie and Freeman and Otani. But I feel like though pitchers are consistent pitchers in the playoffs are hard to come by.
Right.
They're very hard to come by. So having those guys that have been solid for you get hurt, it hurts. But they found a way to overcome that.
Right.
So I feel like it's definitely going to be a team effort. The stars are going to have to shine, but it's going to take the back half of the bullpen and that lineup to get over the hump because, like you say, you don't know what you're going to get from the Mets, and they're going to have all hands on deck if they're going to beat the Yankees.
Right.
Well, to answer your question, April, I feel like those are things we get grace on in like TV shows in the barbershop, but over time, history disappears. Like the Atlanta Braves basically had to rent to everybody. They straight went up to Alamo. It was like, you got any third baseman? You got any outfielders? And they got to the playoffs, sure, but then San Diego kind of like got rid of them, and then we don't really talk about their run. It's just kind of on the nature of the game, which kind of sucks. But so the question I have, though, taking what you were saying about the pitcher situation, game 2, LA decided to do a bullpen game, not on purpose, obviously. It's just how many hands they had ready and fresh. Let me ask you this, Troy. As a hitter, as a player, when you see something like that, do you think it's an easier path, or do you go, hey, this is quiet, almost too quiet? Like, what's the trap here? You know?
You mean with the them putting so many pitchers in one game? Yo, I hate that.
Yes.
I hate it. I hate it because I'll sit there and I'll face a guy, and let's say like I put the ball in play, but I don't get a hit. It's like that next, like the odds of you getting a hit go up higher when you put the ball in play against the next guy. Then I get up to bat and they're like, nope, pitching change. Now I'm at a disadvantage because not a disadvantage, but I'd felt more comfortable. I'm mentally prepared for this guy. Now I have to watch this guy warm up and produce against him. And then you do that 3 or 4 more times. It's tough.
The Padres actually talked about that. I saw Jackson Merrill and Tatis both talk about that. And they said it was very frustrating for them because, as you mentioned, you've seen that pitcher pitch across the plate one time. So that second time around, you at least have some kind of idea. But when you throw somebody else on that mound, your mind, your preparation is almost like you back at the start all over again. And it completely frustrated them because they didn't know how to be able to prepare for that. So I think bullpen games can be a blessing and a curse. And I think that it depends on exactly who you have going in. So for many Dodgers fans, we thought that they were just going to run it back with the same bullpen that we had. And they didn't. They chose to go with a different bullpen. Landon Knack being a AAA player, obviously his command wasn't there, and y'all handle business, but he did his couple rounds. Dave took him off, but after he took him off, if I'm not mistaken, maybe there was only one run or one run after that. So I'm impressed with kind of how it went because it could have been much worse. But I'm looking forward to where that other bullpen rotation comes in.
So let's ask a question about the Mets. Finally, I was being patient. 35 minutes in. So you had a staff at the beginning of the year looked like it was going to be Pete Alonso's team, and then we saw the rise of Francisco Lindor, and then we had a bit of spikes from Marte and Alvarez, and now Vientos is stepping up. He is batting 376 in the postseason. To me, it looks like it's kind of scary as a fan, but to me, it looks like it's kind of a mixed bag, right? You don't know who's going to be the hero today. And I wonder, though, if the Mets were to advance, just go with me here. I know you're going to be mad. I know y'all hate me for saying that. If the Mets were to advance, what would be their actual odds? A team that hasn't won a world championship since 1986. Mind you, I'm about that age, so that's how old that I am. What would be the odds to take down a team like the Yankees or the Guardians where you can't even pinpoint who is hitter number 2 or 3 or who is pitcher number 3 or 4 on a squad that seems like they're a mixed bag all the time? April?
I think that anything's possible. I mean, they are when you look at the lineup, it's kind of you look and you kind of like, I don't really know where they gonna hit at, or what we're gonna get out of it. And I think that that's what makes them really dangerous. I'm never gonna count them out, in a game, because I think that they have what it takes. But I also think, for me, I don't know about y'all, I've never considered that Pete Alonso's team. I've just thought of it. When I think of Mets, I think of Lindor. I've always thought of that as the particular case. So maybe I'm wrong.
That's a good point. So I think it's Lindor's team now, and I think I call him my captain, even though the Mets haven't done a captain since Dave Wright. But the two things to keep in mind that Pete Alonso was homegrown, like Dave Wright, and he was on the team 2 years before Lindor. And then on top of that, because of the money Lindor took to come to Queens, a lot of the fan base were really hard pressed to take him as his own. He was like, "Oh yeah, we're taking us to the promised land, but we're the Mets," and so we didn't go anywhere. We spent too much money. Only New Yorkers say that. We spent too much money. What's going on? Right. So I think finally we'll get to that later on with the Gold Glove nominees. People are finally starting to come around to Francisco Lindor, but it took him 5 years, having 2 kids, showing up every day. Before his back injury, he played every game all season. Right. People go, he's okay. Like, it's weird. Whereas Pete Alonso's been a guy. He was supposed to be the savior since day one. He got the rookie record. Like, he's number 3 of all time of home runs behind Piazza and Strawberry and David Wright. He beat Piazza this year. So it's kind of like he's our guy. But it's a good dynamic. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So as we move on, it is the day off. I got to ask the hard question for me to hear. Predictions, who's going to win the series and how many games? Troy, let me start with you, man. Bring it to me.
We're starting with we're talking about National League. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna say Dodgers, but I think this one's I want to say 6. It's not going to be easy. 6 or 7. I don't think the Mets are just going to go away, even if they lose tonight or tomorrow.
Before I even ask April, does it bother you? It took 5 games to dispatch the Padres, or that's to be expected, in your opinion, Troy?
I did not think that San Diego was going to go quietly. So no, I'm not worried about how long it took for them to beat them.
Okay. All right. So, April, please be gentle.
I'll be gentle. Dodgers are winning the pennant at home. That is my prediction. Now, at home, whether that's going to be 6 games or 7, I'm unsure, because like Troy said, I absolutely believe you just cannot count this team out. And what's scary about the Mets is y'all get scarier as the game goes on. It's like there's some kind of energy that just itches into your uniforms, and y'all get like even more excited. And it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like other teams, like this game right here, probably over. I'm gonna watch it just to watch it. But y'all, no, you cannot lay down against your team because y'all are not laying down for anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. And I think that that's what makes the Mets so scary as well, is they're not afraid of who the opponent is. They don't care if it's Shohei Ohtani. They don't care if it's Bryce Harper. They're coming out to play and give 100%.
I like how both of y'all just shading the ALCS. Like, I'll watch it. I turned it off to be like, no. But I think, and I give all credit to former Dodger player JD Martinez. When the Dodgers came to Queens and swept us, and the glove went to the crowd, it was really that team meeting saying, look, no one expects the Mets to do anything. This is supposed to be a rebuild year. Let's play loose. I think it sucks to watch as a fan, but when we score first, I go, I don't know. But it's different to be like, okay, we're only down by 4. We got this. So imagine on Sunday night when we're down by 9, and I'm like, fellas, we're running out of time. Like, stop playing, So
yeah, and then here I am. I'm like, we're down by 9, but it's still the Mets because they come back. That's what they do. And he's like, no, I don't know. 9-1s. I don't know about all that. I don't know. I'm never in a position to count y'all out.
Allow me to gloat, but I've been watching a lot of Philadelphia fans this week just cry and be upset. Just be like, I can't believe it. It's the Mets. It's like, yeah, it happens when you don't change your team from year to year and expect the same results, but I'm going to take that. You know what I'm saying? My official prediction, Mets in 6, because I got to. And the reason being, and I was going to say I can go either way until yesterday, and I may change next time, but I've never seen Ohtani so baffled at the plate all season until yesterday against Sean Manaea. And I was like, do we have a chance? Now, Troy, am I crazy? Is that just a one-time deal? Because I felt like Shohei had no answer for the tribal chief.
That's what happens when you pitch by committee, man. Even the world's greatest baseball players, like, bro, this is terrible. Baseball is tough. Like, you have these expectations, you're used to seeing what you're seeing, but when you see something different, when you see somebody different, and they like everybody's studying Ohtani's swing. They're studying what pitches he like, what he don't like, location and stuff. So when you face a guy that you haven't seen really, and they're locked into their game plan, they execute, you can get Ohtani out. So he's going to have to figure something out, or is he going to be getting that Aaron Judge hate in a minute?
Look, we love pitches that are low and outside. Just watch. I don't know what it is, but that team loves pitches low and outside. I will say for me, Ohtani, he seems to be pretty anxious at the plate from what I've seen in the postseason. I remember texting that to one of my friends. I'm like, he looks a little anxious. And this was whenever he was batting against Yu Darvish. And he's like, well, this is his hero, his role model. He loves him.
Which is wild, by the way.
Huh?
You playing against your hero in baseball? That's crazy.
So for me, like I really want, and I noticed this in quite a few games, they get to the plate and they're swing happy. Like, be patient. They're pitching balls to you. Allow that pitch count to go up. Let them throw you a strike. But hey, I know that feeling, those expectations are on him right now, and he wants to be the guy to do it. Now, what makes Ohtani interesting is when there's nobody on base, he doesn't bat well. But when somebody's on base, it's like he's Superman.
Yeah. So, to me, from the outside looking in, it's like it's a focus issue, right? Where it's like, I have to do something, then it's like whiff, but it's like, oh wait, I can help this guy do something, then maybe not. But I don't know. What say you, Troy?
Well, when you have people on base and there's no one on base, I would typically have a different approach. So for a guy like Ohtani, he's dangerous everywhere. He could put that ball down the line, end up on third base in the blink. But when you're up to bat, you want to get that home run, that extra base hit, and you can take those hacks, those selfish hacks, as they call them, when nobody's on base. But when there's runners in scoring position, you swing for the fence. That's not a good look. But you put a base hit down or a double down, score a couple runs. That's a real team at bat, and I think that's probably where his focus is. He's focusing on getting that base hit instead of trying to get that extra base hit and that home run when nobody's on.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got the Dodgers, one of the more deadlier teams in the National League, against the Mets, one of the more resilient teams in the National League. Mr. Abe says himself, 45 come behind from wins for New York. So it's going to be a battle. Thank you so much for not saying any team is going to get this in 5. I think that's just disrespectful for any side.
No.
That's
I mean, I'm just watching the interwebs. I mean, the same Mariano guy is saying, no, I'm just kidding. But 6 or 7 is definitely it is. Guy for my boys. I'm playing with house money, though. Like, they told me this is going to be a down year. They told me next year is going to be the thing for the team. And if you look at the parts on paper, dead money aside, it's like veterans are 1-year contracts. Half the team is free agents this year. Talking about Severino, Harrison Bader, Sean Manaea. Like Pete Alonso is on his walk year. Like everybody, it's like senior year for them. So I'm just going to see how long the train goes. So, but my official prediction, Mets in 6.
But shout out to Sean Manaea because he's been pitching his butt off. Like he really been out there.
Yeah, it's funny because people say that the fact that he took a beat and basically relearned his mechanics on the offseason, like not many people would do that. And compared to say like a Max Scherzer, not saying Manaea is better than Scherzer, would never do that, but Max is the kind of guy is like, I'll figure it out my own. Mm-hmm. And well, ... but as we wind down here, a lot of breaking news and commentary and think pieces about the Wrong Sports, Gold Glove finalists. They have been announced. You can follow them on Twitter and on Facebook. A lot of individuals that got nominated, which I saw, like Bobby Witt, my boy, who was on our number 1 pick for the Black Baseball Mixtape fantasy team. But because we got to talk about the Mets, let's talk about the biggest omission, in my humble opinion. Francisco Lindor, a man that has been told he wasn't an all-star, and a man has been told he probably be second place in the MVP voting, is apparently bad at defense too, because he wasn't even nominated for the shortstop Golden Glove. Troy, walk me through this, man. I know I'm a homer. I know I'm a Mets fan, but Lindor not being nominated? That sounds like a crime, isn't it?
That's a decision I would hate to have to make, man. And then cutting them and dealing with the repercussions, I don't know. It has to be more. I'm not exactly sure what goes into the nominees, especially for infielders, but I would feel snubbed. I would have that chip on my shoulder, especially after the year that he's having right now. Mm-hmm. Playing for the National League title, and I would definitely be upset.
Real quick, before I get to you, April, the nominees are Mason Wynn, St. Louis Cardinals, Dansby Swanson, Chicago Cubs, and Ezekiel Tovar, the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies have 3 nominees. The Mets only have 1 in Severino. April, thoughts about Lindor not being on that list?
I'm speechless, and very rarely am I speechless. I don't even have an answer for that, because I thought for me that was like an automatic shoe-in. How does he not make it? And my question was the same as Troy. What are they using? What are the factors based on for them to make these decisions? And one of the other questions that I had was, because we've seen in past times where when people don't get awards, they're like, oh, well, your team wasn't winning, so we didn't consider you for this. That obviously that's not a factor here, because they're going to say it's an individual award. But I ain't trying to say that the other people aren't deserving of it. I will say that I believe that Francisco Lindor's play has been more up to par individually, and also to benefit his team.
I'm going to add this in here. A shout out to the people over there at Mets Digest for this one. So the 3 nominees by Baseball Savant has said they use the what is it called? Defensive value OA, and it looks like Lindor slots in right in between that. So out above average in range by Baseball Savant. You have Swanson 18 OAA, Lindor 16 OOA, and Tovar 15 OOA, which put them in top 3, whereas Mason Wynn will be 83 OOA, so 83rd percentile. So a little bit further down. That's only one metric we can think about. We're not sure about arm strength, anything along those lines, but the idea was kind of interesting about that. And before I move on, because I'm just going to be a guy that's going to complain, they actually asked Francisco Lindor about the snub. And I have a quote right here. This comes from the press conference today, and he says, "Quote: I had a good defensive year, but I guess there was another players that had a better defensive year than me. That was it. At the end of the day, I'm trying to win a World Series, and hopefully next year I get a chance at a Gold Glove again." Interesting.
He was actually very generous in that interview because when they asked him, I watched it, he paused for a little bit. He was like, and then he answered. And I think like there was a moment where he's being humble, but also recognizing where he is because he, is this guy. He's his team and so forth. But we got you, Lindor. We all know though.
We know.
If you guys have other snubs, let me know. I don't want to dwell on Lindor all the time, but this is just a glowing problem to me. I just feel like, what does a person like that have to do? If you can't qualify for the All-Star game, you're not going to win the MVP award. All he has right now is a Hank Aaron Award nomination, which goes to one of the great offensive players. Ironically, he's on a DH. And he can't be a Gold Glove nominee. He's like, what do you have to do? It's kind of a weird thing to think. Shout out to Juju Bean, who says Mason Win all day. Not hating on Mason Win. I think that's what we're saying, how it's a hard decision, right? You only get 3 slots. Someone's going to be snubbed. But a month ago, I thought it would be either Lindor or Swanson. But now, he's not even on the list.
And the way Yankee fans have been dragging Alex Verdugo all year, they were ready to kick that man off the team. And now he's a Gold Glove finalist. I think that is hilarious.
I mean, Volpe is too. Soto is as well. Like Soto, I'm not knocking Soto, but defensively, bruh.
Listen, that was mine because I was like, he that good in right field? I missed that one.
I mean, yo, generational talent. I'm not knocking nobody. You could probably beat me up, but I'm just saying. Lindor's only made 12 errors all season, so come on, man. It's pretty.
I know, and I was about to say, I know. Look, after the last episode we did, I don't want it to come where it's just from you being a hater. But I love him as a player, but I did wonder, if he was that good defensively all year. I haven't watched him, so that was more of a question than a slight.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I would say so. I think when Jeff McNeil went down and it was him and Iglesias in the middle infield, they had the chemistry that maybe it's a Latin thing, I'm not sure, but that you couldn't match, you couldn't teach, and they hit another level. And he plays every game except that back injury. So Troy, let me ask you, man, the nominees are out. Did anyone else stick out to you positively? Was there a snub that came out to you as well?
Positives. I mean, it's a lot of guys that I felt like should have been on this list. One of the big things that I wasn't expecting is that the Tigers got a guy in there, which was very surprising. Our catcher, he's been holding us down with his crazy mustache, so that was definitely a plus. Even though we had that bittersweet Game 5, it's good to see that our guys are being recognized and that our team's headed in the right direction. It's been a long time coming. So that was a big surprise for me.
Question. So I always pick a team to invest virtual stock in. 2 seasons ago, it was the Diamondbacks. This season was the Royals. I thought they're going to have them win the pennant. What was I thinking? Should I put my stock in the Tigers now? Should I just double down and say, look, next year the Tigers are going to go all the way? Or was this year kind of an outlier from your perspective?
I feel like it was an outlier only because, well, I mean, not only because, but we sold and brought the guys up and was like, look, if we're going to do the back half of the season, somebody's going to get some experience, and they were able to do the job. And it makes you wonder why we don't see more of this in baseball. We have all these games, and we have these guys that sit in AAA, AA, bounce back and forth, and they never really get their time to shine because people bring in other guys, big contracts, things of that nature. They go through these farm systems and they don't get the opportunity, but then you see them put a whole lineup in and they start at the All-Star break and find themselves a playoff spot. So I do think it's a unique situation, but I hope that they can keep these guys together because we see this from time to time where they bring up guys they play good for one season and then they sell the whole team and then we're back at square one next year. So I definitely think it's an outlier situation, but the timing was great, and hopefully they keep the momentum going next year.
How much do you attribute that to AJ Hinch's management of the team?
I've honestly, I haven't really had a favorite Tigers manager since Jim Leland left.
Whoa, for real, dude?
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
Brad got a lot of hate here. I can't even tell you who else has been a manager because I just blocked them out of my mind. But AJ Hinch, he's a good stand up coach. He thinks ideally, but he's also not afraid to take risk and give people opportunity. He didn't beat the dead horse as we've seen other Tiger managers do. He at least tried to do something different, giving people opportunities, not even just on the team, but guys in AAA and AA, moving them up, moving around, trying to find something that works. So I definitely give that to him because out on the other side, if he does all this and the Tigers still finish under 500, then people are going to look at him like, maybe it's time for a new coach too. So I'm happy that he had the courage to try something different and to try to move positively. And I hope they keep him around. I liked how he put the pitching rotation together because that's the big thing that the Tigers, we didn't have that depth. So for them to be able to find a way to get through a good Houston team and make Cleveland go all the way to 5 games is a tribute to his good coaching of those guys.
Especially after y'all got rid of Jack at the deadline. So
that's my question.
Y'all get rid of Jack at the deadline. And I was going to say, too, for AJ, from me, like, this is a great redemption story for him, considering, how his term ended in Houston. But to see that this isn't a fluke, like, the man really can manage a team. He can galvanize players and get them to believe in themselves and go out on the field, and really just play for each other.
Oh yeah, especially with a team of young guys like that. I know that can't be easy, not having the experience on the field, but he made it work.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Blackjack Flaherty. I saw him live.
Happy birthday, Jack.
His birthday? Then I won't say it.
Yes.
I was like, I saw him get lit up one time. I won't go. Not his birthday, man. I feel bad. We got some questions from the chat. That kid Mo says Mets Yankees World Series. As somebody from Brooklyn, I want to see that, but they actually polled some fans, and overwhelmingly, people want Yankees Dodgers, unfortunately. But I'll just say we should probably do Mets Cleveland to troll everybody. That'd be the way to do it, just to make sure no one watches it. You guys agree? You guys will Yankees Dodgers? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be mad at the Subway Series. I wouldn't be mad at it.
I'm not admitting that right now.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, I think that either Yankees, Dodgers, or Yankees, Mets would be a great thing for fans. I think it's going to galvanize the sport regardless.
I'm going to call this episode Cleveland Hate because both of y'all like, I don't care who's the natural inside.
This is not a Cleveland hate thing. I just don't think that they have enough to overtake what the Yankees are doing right now. And this is something like, look, I'm not a Yankees liker, okay? I don't like them.
1948, man. They won a championship.
What they're doing right now and the way their role players are playing, I think is really hard to be able to deny, because for so long, all year, all we've heard is Judge and Soto are carrying the team. Like, when are the other people going to show up? And now the other people are showing up. So here we are.
Can't argue with that logic for sure. Indy Kamikaze says, what team pops next year? Abel, let me ask you, if you had to pick a team to go all the way or to really improve next year, which one has the tools, you think?
Let's see. Outside of my own team.
I mean, the National League is fair play. This year has been completely level.
Right. I'm really I will say this. This is a dark, I don't want to say even a dark horse. I'm interested in what Seattle is going to do next year with the new manager. We know that they have the pieces to do something, but can they actually put it together and do something? Like, J-Rod isn't getting any younger, but what is actually going to become of that team? I'm interested to see what it is. And I hope that it actually turns into something more.
Let's say you, sir. Which team is going to pop next year?
I want to say the Diamondbacks. They were really heartbroken. They didn't get they weren't able to get into the postseason, especially after the run they had the year before. So I think they're going to try to make some plus moves in the offseason to try to get back in that slot, because they had a pretty good season, but they eased up off the gas a little bit at the end, which sometimes happens. It's either one or the other. Either you start off hot and end cold, or start cold and end hot. So look, unfortunately for them, they got cold at the end. But I think they're going to have that chip in their shoulder on their shoulder next year, and they're definitely going to want to put forth an even greater effort to get back. So watch out for the D-backs.
You got the D-backs. We got Seattle. Those are all teams I want to step up, man, because they have flash of brilliance.
In the chat, someone said the Reds, because they just got a new manager themselves.
So, okay, actually, I'm gonna answer the first question first and go into the whole manager talk. So, if I had to pick a team, I'm picking. Well, I can't even pick the Athletics. I don't know where they are. See, Sacramento, Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Athletics. The Butler's there, Miller's there. That's the one I think is really going to show improve. Probably even qualify for the playoffs. I'm just putting it out there. But guys, before we wrap this up, I know we're at the hour. The manager question, because at the beginning of the season, we had Craig Counsell, who was a manager of the Brewers, go over to Chicago and set the market at $8 million a year, and the Cubs are at home on the couch. But you look at Stephen Vogt and you look at Carlos Mendoza, these are rookie managers on rookie manager contracts who push their teams to the playoffs. So is the money thing really set, or do we think teams are going to be like, why would I give you 6 or 7 milli if I could just look and give some rookie manager a chance, make sure the front office is there every day and save money that way? Is that kind of a weird situation?
I feel like you spend all these monies on players and then skim out on the coach, is you're going to get what you pay for it. Being a baseball coach is probably one of the hardest things you can do outside of being a baseball player. It ain't no telling how many times these managers have slept on somebody's couch and ate ramen noodles. So if you're able to have longevity, you better give him his $8 million. But at the same time, you're right. It's going to make things a lot more difficult. People are going to think twice about handing out that kind of money when you're seeing rookie guys help your bottom line and help your team get into the postseason.
Yeah, Dave Roberts. No, I'm just kidding. No shade.
No, I ride for Dave now. We ride at dawn for Dave.
I mean, but how long, April? How many years would you ride for Dave? If the Dodgers fall again this year, and I know there's injuries and there's grace, but would you still trust Dave the year after? Or
so remember we had this conversation, and y'all, I love Dave Roberts. Like, I don't care what anybody says, and I think that he managed his butt off in the last series completely with the diversion tactics, keeping faith in his players, maintaining hope, etc. My concern, this is not my thoughts. My concern is that I wonder if there are people higher up who think that this is as far as he can take us.
That's the question I have.
That is the only question that I have in this particular situation. However, this season, it just feels and seems different. I also think that the players seem to have bought in, especially with the kind of players that we have. It seems like there's a leadership where people have fallen in line with who what their responsibilities are and going out there and doing the job. And even like with some of the pickups that we had at the deadline, that Tommy Edman pickup was huge. The Michael Kopech, that pickup was also huge. So I'm hoping that we are able to maintain and sustain it, because Dave's contract runs through 2025. But that is a concern of mine. But I'm always ride for Dave.
Yeah, I hear you. And if the Mets don't advance, I'm not sure who I vote for, but I guess I don't hate Dave. It's like the Astros. I like Dusty. He's fun. I'm just trying to take my anyway, can get it. So we're at that hour, man. Thanks so much for watching the Black Baseball Mixtape Playoff Talk. We're here every Tuesday night, every Thursday night, and every Sunday night. Cheese is going to be back here on Thursday to lead the ship because he is the OG. Without him, there is no Black Baseball Mixtape. Man, Troy, where's the fun part? If I wanted to contact you or hit you up or work with you, collab with you, how can I find you online? How can I connect with you?
I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Justice JUSTICE_imported. Hit my line, man. Let me know when you're in Detroit. If I'm in North America, I might be in Europe. But yeah, you
That
can
is some
find me on
James Bond.
Instagram.
He be playing, child. He be playing. He be
I
on
respect that. Yo, April, same question. I want to connect with you. Collab. What's up?
I am on Instagram, YouTube, and also TikTok. Same name at All About April 3. So you can reach me at all of those places.
And I gotta say it last thing, if you haven't already, gotta hit up blackbaseballmixtape.com. Also, the Black Baseball Mixtape group chat / Discord. We out there, we argue all the time. Bonus points if you're Braves or Astros fans, because that's all y'all hang out. But